Hi guys, my name is Siddharth and I am here bringing a series on data structures and algorithms. Initially, I wanted it to be just in JavaScript, but if I realized if I wanted to keep on doing it to the long run, see if I wanted to get into competitive programming and stuff, I would have to pick up Python somewhere on the line because JavaScript is not really a very good option when it comes to competitive programming. At least from what I've seen on the internet. And so I will be doing, so I'll pretty much be coding out the solutions in both JavaScript and Python. I do not really expect it to be a lot of work. I am experienced when it comes to JavaScript and Python, but I will go over few essential concepts needed to code out solutions of data structures and algorithms. Say some stuff like OOP, general how classes work, how inheritance work, and all the stuff. Right. And these are one of the common data structures out there. I think it's pretty much easy until hashing hash tables and kind of gradually goes tougher from trees, graphs, and tries. And I'll probably be covering a little bit on the algorithms as well, and I do not intend to keep it linear. So what I mean by that is, let's say we start our series with arrays, and we I mean at some point we might need to go on and jump into sorting or searching and stuff, and then again go back to the data structures, let's say trees or anything. So it might not be a linear course just on data structure, just on algorithm. So it might be a mix of both of these, which I think shouldn't really pose any problem. And right, so as I said, I will be coding out solutions in both JavaScript and Python. Part of the major reason why I chose it to be this way is JavaScript is a pretty good language when it comes to visualizing uh, data structures inside your head. I would say. You could pretty much console, or you could pretty much print out everything out on the screen, and this actually really helped me out when I was getting started with data structures. Just having to visualize things in your head can be quite tough at times, and JavaScript really helps you out in those. In that regard. Python again. As we go, as we go deeper, right? As we go deeper into data structures and algorithms, we want to be able to participate in contests as well. So we might be jumping into competitive programming, which again is a lot further down the road. So if and when we get into competitive programming, we would need a language which is pretty easy to read and something that is actually widely used in competitive programming. And instead of going ahead with a language like C++ or Java, I think Python is a lot more closer when it comes to JavaScript. So yeah, so this is one of the things that I wanted to go with. Coming to resources, I think Geeks for Geeks is pretty good when it comes to problems like popular paradigms, how to solve problems, different kind of solutions. You could just, you could see different kind of approaches, say brute force or the optimal or the efficient solutions. And when it comes to competitive programming or in general a database of, all the algorithms and data structures. I think CP algorithms is on the go-to website, and yeah. So for prerequisites, I would say one of the popular way that I've seen how people write code is they generally follow an object-oriented approach. So your solution will be generally a class, and your methods will be written inside the class and stuff like that. So I believe some basics, some basics of object-oriented programming is needed both in JavaScript and Python. And if you come from a JavaScript background and you have been doing it for around 3 to 4 years, you would realize that JavaScript didn't really have any support for classes until ES6. ES6 introduced classes, and it was quite useful to write or at least follow the object-oriented paradigm. Even though it's kind of a bit sketchy how JavaScript actually implements it under the hood. Right, and for I mean, if you want to practice for tools, if you want to practice, you could generally go with Visual Studio Code. That's what I use for most of my projects. I mean, I am a full stack developer, so I generally work with JavaScript and Python. And Visual Studio Code is pretty good. And when it comes to tutorials or when it comes to videos that I'll be generally posting onto this website, I will be using Replit because the ID is pretty good. And yeah, and so we'll go with those. For website, I'd say I mean, for initially we'll start out with lead code, solve problems. So we would just, I mean, say different complexities of problems. Let's say we are solving and we are learning areas, right? We want to see how many easy problems we could solve, how many medium problems we could solve, how many hard problems we could solve, and we just keep on doing that for some period of time. And then I think once we have a pretty good grasp on how all these things work, we would jump into code forces, add coder, and top coder. Now, the major reason why I'm including these three different websites are uh, say you learn almost all the things that I have written in the slides, right? How would you actually know that you are? I mean, how would you actually know that you've actually learned those things, right? So I believe getting into contests is one way to gauge yourself, how you have actually learned this thing. And yeah, so we will be jumping into code forces, head coder or top coder towards the later part of the series. And I might actually have to meet. I am thinking about it, but let's see. I mean, at least for the time being, this is not on the checklist. So yeah, this is pretty much an introduction of what is going to be in this series, and I hope to see you guys soon. Thanks.